Hello, and on behalf of Team Alvin, we are proud to present Acris. Calix Megara, a man who has traveled throughout his entire life, is contracted to chart the newest exploration phenomenon. The Earth has become overpopulated and is on the verge of total starvation. To help solve the Earth's problem, Helping Hand, a pharmaceutical company, has developed a food-replicating biomass that was intended to feed the entire population. But what was supposed to be Earth's salvation becomes its biggest threat. The replicating biomass has converted itself into a nanomass that has quickly started to cover the Earth's surface, threatening all life. To save the remaining population, Helping Hand has developed a solution to dramatically slow the nanomass to give Earth a fighting chance. With half of Earth covered, the newly formed Pan-Atlantic Union has used the nanomass as a fuel source to open a rift to another planet which they call Acris. In this new world, an ancient alien race has left behind a technology that may be the key to Earth's salvation. This technology, nicknamed HTS, is what rifters like Calix Megara are sent into Acris for. The artistic vision for Acris is a realistic yet sci-fi approach. The game is based in the not-so-distant future, making it seem like this could happen in real life. This would be exemplified with the mech suits, technology, alien designs, and environment. Aside from that, the humans look lifelike, heightening the immersion. Earth is in a chaotic state, so whenever the player heads there, it is very grim, almost pale in tone. Earth is bland in color scheme, and all around pale in comparison to the world of Acris. We wanted to emphasize to the player that the Earth has been suffering since the nanomass has taken over a large majority of the landmass, and by doing this, the Earth has reverted to a primitive state. The reason that this design was chosen was to incorporate a mood that encompasses the feeling of depression, vulnerability, and tension. If the player finds himself on Earth, then he better be prepared for a fight. The title of Rifter does not fare well with the citizens of Earth due to the ties with Helping Hand. This is what creates a reluctance of trust and even hostility from the citizens towards the player. The player can expect to be accosted whilst moving through the streets by rebels, gang members, and corrupt security officials whose sole purpose is to find a quick buck before the world ends. The human designs are standard and realistic. The way they are represented in this dystopian version of Earth will be unkempt and beaten, with tattered clothing showing signs of hostility, pain, and how Earth is out of balance. Whilst the corrupt police on Earth wear high-tech armor and create an atmosphere of fear, injustice, and hostility. Acris is very vibrant while still maintaining a serious tone. Simply being there, you can take in all the sheer beauty, but also have to worry about the dangers you are about to face. Of course, other than wildlife, there are humanoid life forms inhabiting the planet. This also heightens the differences between Earth and Acris, as the life on it is extremely diverse, being the home to multiple, unique species of aliens. We wanted to emphasize the difference between the two planets, creating two unique settings that our game will explore. Acris will have different forms of geography and climate, which we will have full artistic freedom over since it is an alien planet. The team is confident that we will create a mood of freedom, caution, and wonder. The aliens that inhabit Acris will feature designs which are varied, thus creating a snowflake effect where no two aliens look exactly alike, as there are many different species to view in Acris. The aliens, as stated before, are diverse and contrast how the humans are designed. Like Acris itself, the aliens are quite colorful, and the races are very different from one another. The aliens, like the humans, will be lifelike, making the player question whether or not these life forms could actually exist. These life forms will come in many different shapes and sizes, which will create different gameplay encounters for the player and dictate how a player will handle a certain situation.
Acris is a third-person RPG shooter with emphasis on exploration and combat. Calix Megara will be utilizing a large variety of weaponry, both primitive and futuristic, in order to deal with any hostiles that both planets Earth and Acris will throw at him. Though brute force isn't always the best approach to a given situation, it is definitely an option given to the player. On the hostile planet of Acris, players will find themselves overwhelmed by the sheer size and numbers of the alien wildlife. The stealth mechanic will play an important role in survival while visiting this hostile planet, offering players the means to dispatch groups of the enemies without being noticed or to avoid them altogether. This was a choice made by the design team in order to create a more in-depth combat system that feels fluid to the player. Another reason that the third-person perspective was chosen was to create a more lifelike character that the player would be able to bond with. This would be done through the realistic animation style to give life to the character. and instead of the main character feeling like an object that the player controls, they are instead an extension of the player. The game will offer an in-depth shooting system in which the player can dynamically alter their weaponry to become suitable for their situation, such as adding suppressors, extended barrels, etc. And all of this will be accessible on the fly without disrupting gameplay. We have created a brutal alien planet that is relatively untouched by any other humans, and it is up to the player to chart the world and bring back the HTS left behind from the alien race before them and save the Earth. How the players do this is entirely up to them. Players have access to a skill tree, which they can use to upgrade their combat and stealth abilities. Experience is earned by capturing outposts and exploring uncharted territory. With the access of a skill tree, we have implemented a system that creates dynamic player decisions, which will lead to new and interesting encounters. Exploration is encouraged by providing the player with a reward for exploring uncharted portions of the map and bringing back rare artifacts for the Ulan research team. The player is given a rover called the MPR, or Multi-Purpose Rover, which they can use to traverse the landscape. There is also a dynamic exploration system that spawns random events in unexplored territory and rewards natural exploration. In Acris, we want the player to be able to interact with characters within the world. The player needs to talk to NPCs to gain side quests and progress further into the story. We also wanted the characters to react to what the player says. To do this, we added the option of positive and negative dialogue choices. Depending on what the player says, negative effects like failing an objective or having to fight the NPC may occur. However, there can also be positive things such as higher rewards and more experience gain. Audio is a very important asset to any video game, which is why we took substantial consideration into how the audio aspects in Acris sound and interact with the player. Music helps enhance an environment in-game by accenting the emotion and action of the world. With a game like Acris, where the player is exploring two realms with various levels of action, the music will change a substantial amount. We have chosen to represent Earth with slow and bluesy music in order to accentuate the feeling of hardship and recovery. While on the opposite spectrum, the music of Acris is more fantasy-esque. While the character is exploring the vast and open world of Acris, the music is calm and relaxing. But when the player engages in combat, the tempo picks up paired with bass-heavy synth. Along with music, great sound effects are an essential piece to any great game, and we here at Team Alvin understand this. That's why we decided to include authentic, non-stock sound effects such as gunshots, growling, and footsteps, all played on a 5.1 surround sound system, so players feel like they are actually in Acris and on Earth. To reach a wide variety of players, we are planning to release the game on Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and on Steam for PC players. We are choosing the new generation of consoles, not only due to the fact that they are the newest, but so that the consoles can handle the intense graphics of Acris.
On behalf of Team Alvin, once again, we wanted to thank you for taking the time to listen to our pitch. We hope that our confidence in our product shows throughout our presentation and are eager for your thoughts. Remember, stay calm and keep rifting.